We're going to go ahead and get started. Let me throw this up on the big screen so people can see you guys, or at least see your picture. There we go.
Yeah, I knew it was gonna happen. Something would happen. But yeah, I'll put my text threads. I'll be in the place there.
All right, thank you guys for joining me today for Mastermind, and we're going to be doing apartment leasing with Krysten, and she's on the phone right now, so we'll wait a few minutes for her. There she is. Yay. Come on in. I'll do some announcements, core value, and then turn it over to Krysten, who's going to present some stuff for us. So our core value today is we relentlessly pursue simplicity and clarity by managing expectations well. Being clear is kind. We believe we serve our clients well when we remove confusion and keep the process simple and stress-free. Stress, tension, and conflict is often avoided by simply managing expectations. Our clients should never be caught wondering what is going to happen next. We are clear and honest with our team and clients and are not afraid to be open about bad news or have hard conversations. Additionally, we encourage our team to internally pursue simplicity and clarity so that they focus on the right priorities and goals. The reason I selected this one today is because of the stuff that's going on with NAR and Missouri, the case. I don't know if you guys saw the email from NAR yesterday from the new president, the interim president, and she just said, hey, we don't know yet. The thing that we need to be conveying to our clients is our value and how we do this. It should always be a conversation when you're talking to a buyer of, hey, I am going to charge a percentage, but normally the seller would probably cover that. I'll let you know if that doesn't work that way. But that's a conversation you need to have with your buyer. On the listing side, you're communicating with the seller and saying, hey, I charge this amount of percentage of the transaction. That is the and I never say commission anymore. I say,
You say compensation.
Compensation. I even put that on all my forms. Instead of commission, I put compensation. I'm being compensated for the work that I'm going to do for you. Some of the money that you're going to give me, I'm going to give to a buyer's agent. They're going to bring us a qualified buyer. If you have that conversation, you put it in writing, it's in the listing agreement, you should be fine. But those are the conversations we need to be having to express our value. Was there somebody? Oh, Megan.
Megan popped on first. Oh, she's about to be here.
Okay, cool. So that's the conversation. Announcements. We have a new agent who is not with us currently. Her name is Ashley Tucker. She joined us on Monday. Yeah, Monday. I think we got everything done with her. I have put into the weekly email, and your association dues are due by the end of the year. Somebody emailed me this morning and said, I think I put it on autopay. Yes, please put it on autopay. That way, when it's time for them to actively do that, it'll auto pay. Next week's Mastermind will be an hour with an appraiser. Brian Wright will join us at the 10 o'clock hour and go an hour on presentation of stuff that he wants to talk about from an appraiser standpoint. He's also an agent now, so that's really cool. 100 Days to Greatness graduation is next Wednesday. I'll be reaching out to the 100 Days to Greatness people through Slack this week to make sure who's going to be here, since I am providing lunch for you next week, and I need to know exactly how many people are here. December 6th, Agent Website Day. That's a Wednesday. That's the first Wednesday in December. So we'll have Agent Website Day here. On the 9th is our extravaganza. I think everybody's excited about the reindeer and Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus, and that will be here at the office 12 to 4. Pictures are from 1 to 3. So I've got about probably 7 to 9 people coming. Hopefully you've got people coming. But it'd be a great day for us just to stand around and talk to each other and enjoy Christmas. The next day after that, the Sunday, is our Christmas party at Joe T. Garcia's, right across from the main entrance of Joe T's. And then on the 13th is the follow-up to the website day, which is how to use your website as a funnel and get you business. And Jamie will be here that day. We're planning, or at least somebody from storytelling, to help us get all that worked out. Any other announcements anybody wants to make? Questions?
Question, what's, the attire for Joe T's? I've never been before. I heard you wear shoes, but then you don't wear them when you leave. But that's just a surprise.
That was just one person. That wasn't.
So, I mean, that's a lot of words. I just need to
It's
know.
usually Christmas,
Okay. So
business
wear something
casual,
festive,
festive. Yeah.
but not.
Jimmy wears a coat and tie.
I wore, well, I mean, my traditional Christmas outfit is what's the velvet?
Yeah.
Velvet,
Oh, velvet.
Tux.
Yes.
tux
Okay.
coat with jeans and boots, so that's it.
That'd be what you repeat
That's my
every year.
go-to,
Okay.
my go-to Christmas outfit.
So it's a little bit nice. It's
Fine.
a little bit nice, a little bit dress up, but not, you don't have to be cocktail fashionable.
No.
But you also can be.
You sure you can be?
Yeah, some
Yes,
people,
never can be.
some people do it. Some people do it all
I'm
out.
going to. There's no such thing as overdressed.
I'll be wearing jeans, I can't.
Right.
So, yeah.
Jeans and
My
boots,
husband can wear jeans.
jeans and boots are
Yeah.
completely
I said, I
acceptable.
can wear whatever I want.
I don't think I want to wear socks anymore.
Yeah.
Well, you get brown pants. It's the same thing as
There you go.
socks.
I mean,
Same thing.
jeans, brown jeans.
Okay, so I'm going to start this next presentation. Everybody knows Krysten Hoke. She and Megan both are experts at apartment leasing. So what we're going to do is we're going to present this. Let me get this up for you, Krysten, and I'll let you have the floor and you do what you need to do and we'll go from there. And I'm presenting now. I'm going to pull this down. Give me a second while I get everything organized here. There we go. Okay, ready to go.
You can present up there because I know I have notes like on present mode. Let me see if it pops up on your
Is that good?
screen. It'll. Oh, let me see. Should show notes.
I don't know if they'll be able to hear you from back there, because when I did this virtually one time, somebody was asking a question over here and I couldn't hear them. So I don't know if you need, I don't know how that works.
What?
I don't know if they
Where's
can
the
hear
microphone?
you. Yeah, where's the
On
microphone?
that.
Me and Brian can switch. It's yeah.
You want to do this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see if I can figure it out because I didn't want to write like everything on the slide. So there's like one.
I think you've hit escape. It will do, it'll take you back out of there. I made it full screen.
Okay.
Let's hit escape. There you go.
Why is it not popping up? Oh, that's why. What the heck?
Yeah.
This
Sorry
is the
guys, I'm
one.
on the way, but Kristen, do you want to just pull up the notes like on your phone and then try to present from there?
Well, I'm gonna try this one thing. Just give me a second, then I'll maybe.
I know it's confusing because you've got so many windows open.
Okay, I think we're good now. 'Cause now I can see my notes.
Okay, great.
Cool. Okay, hey. So this is gonna be like a brief just overview of apartments because if I get all into the nitty-gritty of actually how to run the searches and like all the logistics, will be here for 5 hours. So I'm sure that we can expand on it, but I just like want to let you guys know that this is something that you can offer and it can just expand your clientele like significantly. And kind of just like an overview on how to go about it, how to market yourselves that you can do apartments, because there's so many realtors that I talk to that they don't even know that they can do apartment locating. And private rentals, we know, are not that fun because the percentage is so low, but apartment locating, it's usually 100% of the first month's rent. So you lease a $2,000 apartment, it's $2,000, which is pretty solid. It can be anywhere from 50 to even 150 I've seen. So a lot of new properties that are opening, they will hike that commission rate up because they want it leased. So it's just about getting in there and just allowing properties to use you, and they love it. You don't even have to go in person. You know, there's some properties that make US Corp, but most of the time you can send them on their way. You're good to go. So, offering it. So leasing apartments can be a great financial filler for slower seasons. So right now, like in the winter when people are kind of slowing down, regardless, everybody has to live somewhere. So whether that's buying or they don't want to, they can lease. So, anyway, and then like I started off 2 years in real estate as locating. So I've had hundreds literally of lease clients that will eventually turn into buyers or sellers. It just expands your niche. So, and even like I have had clients that even if they haven't purchased yet, they tell their family about me, and you would not believe like how much you can be the hero by just finding someone a bomb apartment deal, and then they tell their friends and family because they feel special, and then now you have like a buyer or, you know, a seller. Okay, so first, the discovery process. This looks a lot like the same as if you're dealing with a buyer. It's just quicker because we want to get them turned and burned. You don't want to spend as much time as if they were buying, but you just want to hear what they're looking for. So their budget, how many bedrooms are they wanting? Like, are they wanting certain amenities within the community? Like, do they want a gym? Do they want a pool? All of that, just kind of get to see what they want out of a place. Usually there's like something I like to refer to as a triangle. So usually everybody wants a nice place in a nice area and they have a low budget. So I usually tell people, like, if you have a low budget, you're going to have to sacrifice on one of those things, whether that be finishes or location. So just setting those expectations up and all of that. But usually I have seen where clients in leasing world can sometimes be a little bit more picky than buyers. I don't know what it is, but I'm just like, oh my gosh, like my buyers are easy to work with in leasing, but just hearing what's most important to them. So I worked with a lot of Dallas clients, and a lot of them, they want the view, but they have a $1,400 budget. Like, you're not going to get floor to ceiling windows with a $1,400 budget. It's not going to happen. So just kind of hearing what they're wanting. And when this discovery process is taking place, I usually like have a note section up with their name on it. And that way, when I am doing the search, I can refer back to those notes and kind of just refresh my mind on what they want. So that's first. And then this is kind of just an overview of the process. Like I said, I'm not going to get too in detail of each little step, but you know, first you want to start with discovery, then you want to actually run the search. You're going to set them up for a tour, then they apply, then you invoice for it. So that's just kind of overview of the entire process. Almost all properties require a 60-day notice. So you're not going to see availability farther out than that. So if you're doing a search and they're wanting to move in like February or March, you're not going to find unit specific pricing. Like, you just want to kind of show them, hey, here are the communities that usually fall within your criteria. Here's a prelim search, just so they can kind of window shop and be attached to something that they like. And then when that 60 days rolls in, you can then check availability and give them unit specifics at that time. But usually people like to start early, but give them something. Like, some people I worked with, they'll wait until the availability pops up, but don't do that because they're already on apartments.com at that point. They're looking before they can see availability. So give them something, and then when you do see that 60-day notices roll in, you can look at unit specifics. Yeah, so I'm looking over the notes here. Yeah. Cool. And then with pricing and availability with the apartments, they fluctuate. So sometimes communities work in, okay, the longer that a unit is available, the pricing increases. Or a unit's available now and they do the yield star. I don't know if you've heard, there's kind of a lawsuit going on with them right now. It's basically a pricing system where the longer that you hold out a unit, the pricing increases. So they're kind of under some hot water right now, especially during COVID. So that system might not be around any longer, but it still exists. So like, say a unit's available now and your client doesn't need to move in, even they don't have to move in until next week or next month. When you move that move-in date out, the pricing increases. It's awful. So, or you'll see where pricing could be better later on. Like, you'll see better pricing, but all of these things pricing wise are usually available on their websites too. So there's a little bit of a cheat code. Usually if you go to floor plans, or if you go to lease now, like you're actually about to apply for a unit, the pricing will actually show up. So you're not having to call every single property and ask for pricing. Usually everything's online. So this search can really just be done at home and you don't really have to be involved in person as much. That's cool. Alrighty. So how do I find them? Now, this is, most people ask me, like, do I have to just like Google every single website? But there's actually an MLS for apartments and it's called apartmentdata.com. I'll pull it up in a little bit. I'm not going to go through it, but just so you can kind of see how it works. But it works similar in the sense that when you run a search, you can choose the areas. Like, there's little boxes that you check, whether it's like Dallas, Fort Worth, Irving, whatever. It's like all in little areas. And then you can put in the amount of bedrooms, kind of what their budget is. You know, you can even go down to like what amenities that they're wanting. And then it pulls up a whole search for them. It tells you how much they pay, you know, their phone number, pictures, and all that. And you can send your client a portal like One Home, but with apartments. So it's pretty solid and it's very interactive. And again, not a lot of people know it. So when clients get that, they feel special because they're like, okay, I'm not buying a home yet, but like this still feels good because I'm renting an apartment, but I'm getting the service as if I were buying. Yes, it does cost. There's different pricing. Who was
Like I
that?
said, is there a fee?
Yep, yeah, it does cost. I wish it were free. They do different pricing. Like it's more expensive if you do it monthly, but if you pay quarterly or yearly, it gets less expensive the further you go out. I think I pay quarterly, and I think it's, Megan, do you remember how much it is? It's on auto
It's
pay, so-
$70 a month.
Okay, so I pay quarterly, and I think it's 140. It's like a significant drop, 140, 145 or something. I'll pull it up and let you guys know. But also too, you can share a login. So I know that there's a brokerage in Dallas that actually everybody underneath that brokerage shares the same smart. The only downside to that would be like if it's automated, you can't, like, you can see everybody's stuff.
Yeah.
So if they're marking favorites or whatever, so just make sure that you're doing it with people that you trust, you know, and client information's in there. It will also tell you, like when you put your client's phone number and name in there, if it pops up red, it will tell you if they're working with anybody else,
Oh.
which is a little sneaky, right? I know. It'll pop up a red dot and it'll actually give you the name and email. So with apartments, it's a little trickier, right? Because you don't have a buyer rep. Apartment locating is not under Trek. So there is not as much watching.
There's no code of ethics.
Right. Like, so it can be a little shady sometimes because, you know, a client can work with multiple different locators, you know, and that's their thing. They want to shop. That's up to them. But at least being able to know if they are so that we can, like, I mention it personally. I've had training before where they're like, don't ever, like, you know, call them out. But I just say, hey, look, I just tried to register you and I see that you're also registered under so-and-so. Let me know if there's a mark that I'm not hitting, or, you know, I kind of just like tell them that I know that they're working with somebody else. And if I see Smart City, like that's going to be a tough one to beat because they're like the locators. I worked there for 2 years. Yeah, I worked there for 2 years.
Okay, that's.
So they just like a relocation service?
It's just apartment locating. They have like dominated the DFW like entirely. So anybody with apartments, their marketing is crazy. They have like hundreds and thousands of followers. They have an office in Dallas, and I mean, I'm talking. They have like a 10,000. How many square feet Smart City's office? Like 10,000, something crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. They're basically the ones that started.
Yeah.
everything, basically.
Yeah. So their whole entire thing, they just opened up a real estate side, like a residential side as well. But like when it comes to locating, they have it down. They get negotiated deals specifically for that company. So you can only get their rates, which is illegal. That's whatever. But they do the damn thing, basically.
Now, is their office in Dallas?
They have one here in Fort Worth, and they have one. Yeah,
They
it's in
are-
Magnolia. It's off of Magnolia.
They are, they
Yeah.
are the locating company, but I feel like I also started there, so they're churning and burning like 60 clients a week. Like,
Oh,
they've
I-
got quotas there.
I was leasing probably like 30 to 40 clients a month.
Oh, so what made you leave?
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
When you're like juggling 30 clients at one time and juggling like every week, I think I had like 3 tours a day. So you're like managing that schedule.
I was running like 8
Schedule
searches a
stuff.
day.
And each search can take like 30
Hours.
minutes to an hour.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a situation with that. So that's smart, but it's pretty good. It's not super accurate just because pricing and availability changes all the time. So you don't want to trust the pricing that's on Smart. You want to go in and do your due diligence and look at the pricing yourself. But it's a good place to just kind of narrow it down, condense it, then go look at the pricing and things like that and send it to your client.
That's apartment data or that's the smart one you're saying?
Smart Apartment Data is the whole name of it, but we call it Smart for short, you know. So, but it's super nice. Okay, so getting paid, this is the most important part and the most annoying. So like when you get for private rentals, how on the MLS it says like, hey, they'll pay commission in 3 to 5 days or whatever it is after move-in. Like most apartments take from 30 to like 60 to 90 days after move-in. So that's the only part, the downside of it. And really, sometimes they take longer. It just depends on the property management and how much they like locators or their budgets and things like that. But usually it's not a problem. But there's also reviews on Smart of the community. So if they have like 21-star ratings, the agents will go on there and be like, they don't fucking pay. Or whatever. So yeah, just pay attention to that. But most of the time there's not a problem. It's just about following up once you invoice and say like, hey, like checking up on this, like when can I expect this? And usually it's not a problem. But I would say usually around that 60-day mark is when you're going to see the check come in. They just want to make sure that they stay.
I had one tell me that I had to be a vendor and I had to pay to be a vendor. So
Some of them are like that. Like you have to have like your broker, or you'll get the from Brian, but 1099 stuff, W-9, and just to have yourself registered underneath the property management. Which every time you invoice for the first time, you'll have to provide that anyway, and they'll keep it on file for you.
So what they're saying, their company is saying that you have to be a vendor of that company. And
Yeah.
so you just have to, whatever paperwork they need you to fill out.
They said
Yeah.
I had to pay though. I had to pay.
Canvas said that
too.
What-
They told me this
That's
like
weird.
years ago, so I don't
Yeah.
remember.
And now there's always one-off properties. I'm not even saying that that's not even accurate, because I believe it, especially if they just don't have any, especially like if it's a lower apartment, I guess you could say, like cheap,
Yeah.
they're not going to have a lot of experience paying commissions out. And so, but most in Fort Worth, like the nice ones, 99% of Fort Worth communities love locators. Love. Dallas ones are tough because they're saturated. They get constantly bombarded with locators and they don't like them. But Fort Worth, it's a little bit less common. And so they love locators. They pay usually every property pays from 100 to 125%.
Well,
especially right now.
Canvas, which we work with their community out there in Willow Park.
Uh-huh.
Then they've got Denton, Grand Prairie, and
Yeah.
I think maybe Richardson. And they will be running things every once in a while where they will pay 200%.
Yeah.
And their average rent is like $2,600.
Yeah.
I think for like their 2-bedroom.
Yeah.
So you rent their 4-bedroom, which is probably like $3,400 a month, and they pay 200% commission. I mean, that's basically like selling.
I know. I sold a
Should've sold
penthouse
our
at the Christopher like years ago and made $8,000. So
For 1 year lease.
yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah, because the penthouse was like around $8,000. They were paying 100%.
yes.
And they're the hardest things to lease.
Yeah, it's but the yeah, and they know that like a lot of high rises right now they'll pay like 125 or they'll pay more commission for certain units and all that stuff. So it's pretty dope. What do you say?
So like if you have a client and you're searching, do you then call the apartments to say, what is your process? Do you even work with locators? Or
If they pull up on Smart, it will tell you if they do.
okay.
So it'll say like it will have like the property name, the information, and then on the right side, I'll pull it up so you can see it, just so you can get a
Okay,
visual.
yeah.
But it'll tell you how much they're paying.
Okay.
And then usually if my client's interested in it, what I'll do is I'll make sure I give them the accurate pricing. I'll set up a tour for them if they want to see it in person. And then I will send the guest card over to the community just so that there is a paper trail that I was actually working with them.
Yeah.
You always want to make sure, because sometimes like your clients will not, they won't put that you're working with the realtor on their application. They forget. And then that way, like you have a paper trail, like, no, they didn't put it on the application, but I did send them because of this email portal, send it over.
What's a client card?
You just send like their name, their phone number, email, what they're looking for, just something that says like, hey, my client's swinging by for a tour on Tuesday. Here's their info. Thank you so much for helping them. XOXO. Yeah, you gotta butter them up. Okay. But yeah, that's, and then as you form relationships with properties, like there are some properties that I'll call, and I don't really call them that much anymore, but I'll be like, hey, it's Krysten. Like, oh my God, hey. So the more that you just reach out to them, like I have like 5 properties that I constantly send to clients over and over again. They know me, especially the property that I'm in right now. I try to send as many people out there as I can. But yeah, just call them, communicate with them, be friendly, and you'll eventually just build relationships with them.
And as far as the getting paid, different ones require different ways.
So
Like you
yeah,
invoice them.
yeah. So typically it's going to work one or two ways. They'll just do a regular invoice situation, or they'll work in a way called ops. And so ops is like an actual portal that a lot of like richer, communities use because it's all just electronic. They'll type an invoice to ops. They'll send it over to their, whoever pays their invoices, pay it, boom, and it's a wire instead of an actual check. So if it's an ops, you'll set that up with, what's her name? Rachel? Rachel. Yes, Rachel, and she'll get it set up for you for the wire. But usually it's just a good old snail mail. Okay. One thing, sometimes if they're offering specials, they will pay you on the net effective. So say that their rent is like $2,000, but they're offering 1 month free. Sometimes they will not pay on the $2,000, they'll pay on the net effective of the special. So whatever that math is. So if you hear them say, we're only paying on, if you send a lease verification over and they're like, we only pay on net effective, just know that's what that means, is that there is a special and they're only paying on that amount. I'm going to get to that lease verification in just a second. Okay. So, so you lease a client, woohoo, go team, go. As soon as they sign the lease, you're going to want to send a lease verification. And Megan and I have a template for that. So basically it just says the name of the property, how much you're going to invoice for, their unit number, and their lease term and their rent amount. So just like solidifying all the details of the lease, you're going to want to get them to sign that. And it's very normal. They know what it is. The apartment complex. That's
And what's it called
basically
again?
a lease verification. And we can share it with whoever wants one. It's just a standard little document, but you want the property to sign that because that means that they're agreeing to pay that. A lot of brokerages like Smart City, they won't send the lease verification until they move in, which is weird to me because so much can change. They can change the commission percentage. They could have not moved in. There was just so many things that can change between now and then. So get the lease verification signed and details confirmed as soon as possible, just so you're like, hey, they agreed to pay it. We're good to go. Save it. And then when it's time to invoice, send the lease verification and the invoice together. And it looks like you got your shit together. We love that. Okay. So got that.
Well, expanding on the commission change, the reason you want to do it right away is because sometimes a property is going to be desperate. They're paying 100%, 125. 3 months later, when your client, or 2 months later, when your client moves in, they might have cut it down 50%. But when you send your lease verification, they're like, oh, we're paying 50%. And you're like, no, you're paying 100% when I lease. And they're like, well, do you have proof of that? They'll usually ask. And so if you have the lease verification where someone's like, we're paying you at 100%, then it's done. But
Yeah.
if you don't have any proof, it's 50%.
Right. And sometimes they change units between their, like they liked a unit and they're like, oh, I want to change this to this other unit. And then you go to invoice for, they're like, nobody's in that unit. And you're like, what the heck? And then you got to kind of chase down your client and be like, what happened? You know, there's just so many things that can happen. So I like just get that solidified and ready to go. But yeah, we're always ready to help. I'm going to pull up Smart just so you can kind of see what it looks like. Hopefully I don't mess anything up.
Yeah, I'll come help with that.
Is it
So we'll stop sharing this one. And then we'll jump over
they
to
don't pay
here
on renewals, right?
No.
Okay.
and do your what's that there.
That's like every time you
I wish.
It is,
Sure.
it's a lot of like trust building when it comes to apartments because
And
two things have to happen.
let me-
Oh, it's fine.
You
yeah,
have
let me
to-
let me share it first.
Okay, good deal.
Trust that the apartment's gonna pay you, which they usually will if you have.
Okay, where's my
a
mouse?
trail,
There it
you
is.
have to really document everything. We also have one thing is to trust that your client is going to put your name down. It does happen, like when she said, like they're working with multiple locators. If you don't know that.
Okay,
and
you ready to
go
go?
in and you
Woohoo!
look, you
Thank
get
you.
a lease certification. They're like, oh, actually, it says they were working with this.
See if I can
locator.
remember my password.
And you don't have to say
Yeah.
that once you get in there because it'll ask you.
I
what you
just,
want to
I
say.
feel like though this is like such an essential tool that until you guys came, like, and obviously I don't think about this, but whenever you guys came, I was like, man, that's such an in-between, like, especially even if you're an experienced agent, you're in between houses, you just sold your house, but you can't find that right one, or they want to wait for the interest rates to go down. It's like, great, we have a tool, and I feel like the apartment data thing is like, we have a tool that you cannot find anywhere else. We pay for it. It's a specific thing that we have access to. Apartment
Oh, I
data.
remember.
No one else has access to the rates. They just make that apartment data like your super secret thing that no one else has unless they use you. And those in between moments that every buyer has is like perfect.
We'll say as expensive as this program is, it's like not super accurate in terms of pricing. So like on one home, it's completely accurate, comes straight from the MLS. With Smart, it's like whenever the property wants to update it, whenever they want to, they'll put the pricing on there. It'll say some units are available. I always like end my emails with, hey, look at this property report as like a form of like galleries and look at the websites and stuff. But don't look at the pricing faithfully. It's not right.
Do you then call the apartment to get the accurate pricing?
No, online.
Okay, so the website will
the
be.
website's almost
okay.
like 90% of the time it's up to date.
Or maybe you can be like, it's a better search engine than any other. I
Yeah,
don't know.
well,
Think of
yeah.
some like sales pitch for it.
Yeah, I just say that's a personalized apartments.com.
Yeah, but it's like, it's gotta be better. It's gotta be better than.
Yeah,
you know,
because
what
yeah,
they can
you're
do
working with a
themselves to, like,
human.
Give you value.
But I think it's just one of those services where you have to look at like, for me, like using a travel agent occasionally, like I have all these details. Hey, I want to go here, I want to do this, I want to do that. I don't really want to dig into the weeds because I haven't been to this place or whatever. So
Yeah.
I feel like if you just pose it as to where like, hey, I'm going to send you stuff. You're not going to have to think about this, research
Right.
this. I'm listening to you. I did the consultation with you.
You set up the
I'm your eyes
tours.
now. And so like what
Yeah,
comes to you is just gonna be a value and it's not
Yeah.
gonna be a time waster. Cause I think that's a lot of times, especially with people like relocating.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it transfers in the lease world as well, because when I have somebody moving here from Pennsylvania or
Mhm.
California, they're, you know, they can tell me my kid's a dancer, my other kid plays football, I want a country feel, I need to be this close to TCU,
Mhm.
here's what I need.
Yeah.
And for me, I very quickly knowing the areas and
Yeah.
knowing and digging in, I can quickly like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
cut down on
And-
the searches. So I feel like that would transfer. It's just the value there.
Yes. And you learn more. Like if someone's like, I need a 1-bedroom den, I literally have like in my head, I already know in my head, but I also have a spreadsheet that is like ridiculous. Every single, it's a cheat sheet. Like if they want a split level, if they want a loft, or if they want concierge, or if they're like all these unique searches that they're asking for, I have a whole spreadsheet that has like every property in the Metroplex that has it. So it's like if somebody wants a 1 flex, which you don't know that unless you go into every single property's website and look at the floor plan and and see if they have a den, which would be like take hours. But we have a spreadsheet that like it has all the properties that have 1-bedroom den layouts. Okay, so here's Smart. It's not the cutest thing on the planet, but so like for instance, here's like my client base, right? So like I have a ridiculous, pages and pages of clients that I've worked with in the past. Here's the red dot situation. Okay. That lets me know. You click on it and this is old. Let me go to a new one. Hold on. Okay. Carol.
Shame on you.
Oh, wait, no.
Devin hit it right there. Boom. Heifer. But yeah, so Caroline, who was she? Okay, so that person probably saw she was working with me and then deactivated her. Ashley, same. Ashley, I sold her a house, so that just goes to she wanted to do apartment search and then she changed her mind. So
there will be people with like 5 different.
I know it's
ridiculous.
crazy.
I'm like, what are you doing?
Where do they
Signing
find
up
y'all and where do y'all find them? Are you getting there?
Instagram. A lot of
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah, past clients like referrals and
Referrals.
stuff like that. When we were at Smart City, though, we were getting like ridiculous amount of leads a day, like
Yeah.
depending on how long you stay on
They got,
rotation.
like, hundreds of thousands of followers. People are commenting on the thing every day, and they pass those leads.
Yeah.
So that's how like
Now what?
a lot of people.
Oh, no.
Okay. That's why like a lot of it's a great place for new agents to start off with because they just pass leads. Like they've got hundreds to go every day. So if you don't have like clients already to just kind of do referrals, it's a really good place to start off with.
So search wise, this is what I was talking about. This is where you can put the criteria in. So price range. Usually like with this, if they have like a $1,500 budget or whatever, I like to kick it up to like $1,650 because again, the pricing is not always accurate. So you want to give a little bit of room because some properties might just have lowered some units and stuff like that. So, you know, all of this, you can, I don't really pay too much attention to this because like I said, sometimes let's say I click concierge, maybe the property just didn't put that they had concierge in the system. So one thing I do click though is this right here, washer and dryer, like with the connections and the supplied, that's usually pretty accurate. So if someone needs washer and dryer or they just need connections, I do like to click that just so it kind of weeds out some options. Areas, this is kind of where it all branches out to. So all your Dallas neighborhoods right here, all your Dallas surrounding neighborhoods, Irving, Plano, here's us right here, near Parker County, all the way down to Burleson, up to Denton, and all the things. So we're talking a pretty wide scale of DFW that you can do.
Do most apartments subscribe to this smart apartment data?
Yes, and if they don't, that means that they don't care about working with locators, so it's a wash anyway.
Okay.
But even if they don't work with locators, it still pulls up in here. It just, they pay like they don't pay.
Oh.
But it'll pull up, but it'll go to the bottom of the list. So like for instance, like I'll click on down here and I'm not going to put any of the criteria, but no. Oh, there it goes. It just
And by
lagging.
default, they don't pull things that don't pay unless you select 5 apartments that don't pay.
Yeah. See, like the Henderson. So here we go. So it says the name right here, all the specials. So you see so many places are offering specials right now. It'll tell you where it's at, the year it was built, if it was renovated. Here's pricing again. It's just kind of all over the place. And then this is where they pay. So there's 2 different columns. There's a send column. So it says, hey, if you send them without you going, you get paid this amount. But some places require you to escort. And the reason why, it just cuts back on referral issues. So like they know for a fact you sent them.
How do you know if you need to escort them or not?
It'll say it.
Firestone is 1500.
So like if I go to the bottom, so right here, these just play flat fees right here. But you'll see sometimes if they only pay on escort, this column will be blank. Like,
That
so-
means you have to take that.
Yeah, like this, it'll be like little dash. Like see right here, Firestone. If you send them, they'll pay 50%, but if you escort them, they'll pay 100.
Yeah.
So,
It just seems
That's-
overwhelming because there's so
No, it
many
is.
apartment complexes.
It is.
And I feel like a lot of them are probably pretty similar.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, and I don't know.
Especially
Yeah.
the new ones, they're all built pretty much the same.
Yeah, like floor plans are pretty much the same.
Like, the job can be done remotely, but like, when you see, if you like go see an apartment in person, like you memorize like what things have. And so like
Yeah.
over the course, we've been doing it for like 3 years now, so we really
You just
memorize
know.
like what each of
Yeah.
them are like, oh, we want this. I'm like, oh, okay. I know what that is.
And so it's probably then easy to capture like the new ones, just like add to your inventory of like, oh, this goes with.
yeah. And the cheat sheet that we have also just helps. Like if you're like, oh, I don't know what places offer like white finishes or like whatever townhomes. I don't know what communities. Yeah. Just take me to lunch or something. Buy me a drink. Buy me a nice little cocktail. No, I'm just kidding. It's not that big of a deal.
Right?
I mean, technically, like we took it from our last brokerage, so
We say it
Work
costs us,
smarter,
it
not
costs us a lot of commission to take those.
I know, it's so annoying. But yeah, this is a situation with this. It's very hello. Are you there? Okay.
Do
Okay.
you have to have your real estate license to do
You're-
apartment locating?
Yes.
Yes.
So you
Okay.
don't have to be
A realtor.
Okay.
So you don't have to pay
That's why all
dues.
locators are real estate agents, but they are not all of them.
You have to pay dues, whatever.
No.
Yeah, they don't pay NAR.
No.
So if you pay like a year subscription for this, would it cut it down like?
I think I let me see. Let me log out. Oh, one thing else I do want to show you here. You can lead gen through here and do invoicing through here. I don't know, never done it. So I don't know, but I know that it's something that you can do and I know it's gotten better. So that's a thing. Don't know how it works, but you can do it. We might
They
have to
an
explore
IDX
it.
Too. So you could
Yeah.
put up a landing page and set up your website there and then have that code populate into a landing page. and then you could just market that page. They would come in and immediately go into here.
Yes, exactly.
Phone.
I love, I didn't even know it
Simple
did that. Okay, so if you go to sent list, what I also really like, and also when you send this list, it registers them with the property. So that's really cool. But say you have a client that, and it tells you every time they open it, which is really cool. And say they're just not responding to you, but they keep opening up the freaking list. I'm just going to disable it. And then we'll text you, hey, I can't open my property report. Oh, hey.
I'm so sorry, I thought you died.
Yeah. So glad you're with us still. But I like it because, well, do y'all do that with one home clients? Like, I mean, if I set them up and I don't hear from them, I'm like, no, you're not about to keep looking at this, ma'am, sir.
You're cut off.
Yeah. Yeah. So overall it is pretty solid. They can mark favorites in there. Let me show you kind of what it looks like if I sent this list last night to somebody. And I'll show you what it looks like. So it pops up like this. Here's the options on the left. Oh, Hales Bales. What?
Share this tab instead.
Okay.
There you go.
Cool. All right. So here's the options on the left, and then it gives them a nice cutie little map. Obviously, this person didn't care where he was. So he's a loan officer actually moving from Austin. So he just wants an areas that are nice. So I kind of landed him in like the little hot spots. So like this option right here, if you expand it, it will show you the pictures of the property. Scroll on down.
This is exactly what the client sees.
Yes.
Oh, you tell
Um,
them just not to really look too much into the pricing.
Yeah.
I
But
did.
it's somewhere
I
around.
did. So everybody runs their. Megan might do her searches differently. I think she does. I changed the pricing, and so this is accurate.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't do that. It takes too much time.
Megan,
Because my price
You
is
just
like
wait till-
listed in the email.
So you just wait till they narrow it down.
Yeah,
And then
this
you tell
one,
them.
No, so if they're within that 60 days, I'll be like, cool, when are you ready to tour? If they say Saturday, I'm like, cool, I'm sending you a list on Wednesday. Everything's in the email.
Yeah.
body.
Okay.
this guy needs to move next week.
Okay.
So I
Have you done
tailor
it?
it to. I just did it last night. He's gonna look at him tonight or whatever. He was like, "Oh my god, every option's good. This is gonna take me a second." I'm like, "Good." Means I nailed it. But he's got to move ASAP. So I went ahead and just gave him pricing. Now, could this change between now and the time that he tours? Maybe so. But at least he knows. And then
But I was gonna say.
no, or unless it gets leased.
Mm.
But in my, I'll show you my email that I send because I send the link, I send it to myself, and then I make an email and I say, hey, blah, 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 give them my little rundown, and I say the two that stood out to me were the top two options. I send that just so he has something to focus on. Now, they could be really actually options that fit what he needs, or they can be properties that pay 125. I don't know, but however you want to put it. It's like I like this. These are options.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, the thing is, so if they're, and I'm saying like,
If they will fit within their option, if I'm sending it, it falls within their option. So if I want to highlight it just because they pay 125. Yeah. So, and then at the very bottom, I put a disclaimer. Hey, pricing and availability changes daily. You know, applications are subject to approval due to credit background. Like I give a whole disclosure. So they can't say that I didn't tell them that something like, because if I send them a list and then something gets leased, then sometimes they get pissed. Like, oh my God, I showed up and then this got leased. And I'm like, well, that happens.
She just had like a little like.
Little fine
email that
print.
You drop in there like
Yep.
every time, like I do like my
I have
DocuSign,
to
they're
separate.
like, you know, this
Well,
is the
then
next
that's
on
something
their
else,
you
yeah.
know, give or take. Yeah.
Exactly. I put like a little thing and I kind of, the only thing I change in the body of the email is just like, hey, so-and-so, here are some options that I found within your criteria, blah, 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 give the whole rundown. But yeah, so then if you expand this, it'll tell them what specials are being offered, full-size washer and dryer. You can also put notes. So like he either wanted a 1-bedroom den option or a 2-bedroom option. And so I just put a note in there, 2-bedroom option, new and super pretty, cute, love it.
So you're able to customize the price and that?
Yeah.
Sent to him?
Uh-huh. And overview, it tells them the school district, what their app and admin fee is, when it was built, no aggressive. So it shows all the
You
things.
can't have a roommate.
It's pretty good MLS.
Yeah,
Pretty good
it's
apartment MLS.
it's gotten better over time. Like it's still a little weird sometimes, but everything is, nothing can be perfect.
There's IT and
Maybe that's
engineering.
combined.
Yeah. Yeah. But on my end, I'll show you kind of what
Hey, go back and share. Go ahead.
I redid it. I did it.
Okay, yeah, there it is. Cool. Let me see now.
Like options, if I'm going to re-pull this list and I click on a property, here's a good thing, right? So it can tell you kind of now this isn't always correct, especially if they're new. They probably just haven't updated. Oh, no, this is accurate. So if they say someone has an eviction, it's really hard to find a place. Like I don't take those clients on, but at least I know that, hey, they could have an eviction on their record, but it has to be paid off. They're not just going to turn them down. Yeah. And then it tells you, hey, they got to make 3 times their rent. And then here are their policies. Here's who they're owned by, which is super helpful. Like if you need to contact someone in corporate.
Does all that, like the green stuff, does that also go in the portal that the client can
No,
see, or
this
so
is
you
this
just
is
have
me.
and do you just send out in the body of the email as well? Like,
Well,
I guess if they choose that one.
if someone tells me they have an eviction, I can filter, right? So if I'm doing a search, I can filter with properties that allow it. And then I just tell them like, hey, the options that I sent, they say that it's okay if you have an eviction, but it's got to be paid off. But also kind of preface like, look, they can also deny you. It's just like it's a base by base basis. If they're at 99% occupancy, they could just deny you because they're already good with their occupancy percentage and they don't have to approve you. Now, if they're down 70 to 80% and they just need a tenant in there, they might be a little bit ready. It also shows the occupancy percentage in here.
Most places use like a third party approval like system. now.
Yeah.
So you either get.
So, but the manager looks over their file first. So like they have your application, they look it over, they're aware of what's going on and all that. So Bottle House on Main has 4, I just leased this place. Oh God. And some people are dramatic. Like it's not always, I've leased properties that have bad ratings and I've never had a problem. These people, especially if they stay anonymous, are usually like people who just didn't do their job correctly. And now they're mad that they're not getting paid. So like you can't just send someone and never talk to the property and then automatically send an invoice. They're going to be like, who are you? You could easily have just texted the client and be like, where'd you lease? And they tell you, and then you send an invoice. Like that's why they're so big on like, make sure you send your guest card over, make sure you just communicate with them and have a paper trail so they know that you actually sent them. That's why a lot of people do escort. If I were a property manager, I would do the same thing. I would require escort because ain't nobody got time for all that. But
does
anyway.
a lot of the communication filter between you and the complex, or does like the client do a lot?
It's
directly?
a lot of it. Like if I'm communicating with the property, it's usually like, hey, I'm calling either to set up a tour or I set up a tour online on our online system. But I'm reaching out and saying, hey, I booked a tour for my client on this day at this time. Thank you so much for taking care of them. Here's their info and what they're looking for.
Yeah. They might tour and then say, okay, we're ready to sign. And obviously they handle that.
Literally. And then I tell in my body of the email that I send with my portal, I'm like, hey, here's how I get paid. I literally tell my client, this is how I get paid for working with you because it's free. It's a free service. So I tell them like, just make sure that you tell them that you're working with Krysten from 6th Ave when you tour. And when you apply, when it asks, hey, how did you hear about us? Make sure you select realtor or locator on your application. And I make sure to say that in text too. Sometimes I'll even go to the application link and pull down the Dropbox and send a screenshot of what it looks like and circle it so they know what it looks like. Because we get that question all the time on website submissions where it says, how did you hear about us? And we're just like, other newspaper. Jesus Christ, stop asking me.
Do you ever think about like when you're typing the email or whatever?
Yeah.
Or whatever, it's the property manager to like CC your client, be like, hey, I've registered your information and make the connection.
No, I mean,
sometimes I feel like that's good, and then sometimes I feel like that's bad. It's almost like builders.
Yeah.
Builders, because you try to open that up and get ahead of that.
Yeah.
Because regardless of what you do with new construction, it's so easy and accessible for
Yeah.
people that, my clients will literally be like, hey, we didn't want to bother you on a Sunday, but we went ahead and did that.
Yeah.
So like for me, when each and every client I ever have, I have that dialogue up front with them. Like, if you're going to look at new construction, what, would you be interested? And so I try to connect all of those dots before they have the opportunity to go without me. And so I feel like that transfers in this world as well.
Yeah, on Smart though, when you send the list, it automatically registers them. That's not always foolproof, but like I said, with every single time I'm setting up a tour, so before that client is going to the property, I'm sending an email. Or I'm chatting with them on the phone. And then we have a running spreadsheet of all the emails for the properties. They change a lot because properties sell all the time. It's so annoying. And the name change. You're like, wait, what property is that? And you go to the website and you're like, that looks like, oh, it was. So on Smart, if it changes, it'll say like formerly known as. So you're like, oh, okay, the name's changed. They got bought out, which happens like Jefferson properties, their legitimate goal, like ZRS management, like, I know. It just came in my head too, right when how did it just come up just now? Jesus Lord. Jefferson, like Jefferson Vine and like Jefferson Rivery, like all those properties, their goal is to sell within 2 years. Yes. And so ZRS, they have the same vibe. Yeah, they always pay like, especially when they open, they pay like usually $125. But they will sell. So. Mhm. In ZRS, and they're building like every property now. It's very strange, cheaply. So yeah, that's the situation with Smart. So it's very helpful. Like I said, it does cost, but I'll just share somebody I think that we were planning on sharing, but since like our payments were off, like she pays monthly and I pay quarterly, we were like,
I forgot.
I know. So that's the situation with it. And I mean, we can expand on it and we can meet up together so I can show you guys how I actually run a search, like the logistics of it and kind of what it looks like when I do it. I just didn't want to jump into it just because like that's a whole beast.
I think that's a great overview of apartment leasing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time to do this.
Yeah, of course.
And it looks really great, like, 'cause to me, apartments as like a client would be so overwhelming to
Oh,
do
it
by
is.
yourself. And so seeing it
is.
on here, I could see how a client would be like, oh, wow, this is so
It
much
like
more
blows
seamless
them
and-
away, I
Yeah.
think. And especially when you're hearing them and what they want, or like if they want a first floor unit, like say that somebody doesn't want to use stairs or they don't even want to use an elevator, you're taking the time to just call the property and say, hey, is this unit on the first floor? Sometimes it says on the website, or sometimes you can tell by the unit number. But even just doing that and just spending 30 extra minutes just to ensure that they're going to be on the first floor and they don't have to do it, they're like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, I love it. And like I said, like, you're the hero. Like, not a lot of people even know. And especially when you tell them it's free, they're like, how much does it cost to use your service? I'm like, nothing. They're like, really?
Like, yeah, we get paid by the apartment. So referral dues.
Yeah. And you will run it. There are, just like with real estate, there are things that you run in that's going to piss you off. Like they might not put your name down. You did all this work, or like they use another location. There's just stuff that pops up. But like, if you're working on a referral basis, you're not going to run into issues like that because they want to put your name down. Like they want to be like, no, they say it over and over again to the person. I just want to make sure Krysten gets the credit. I want to make sure, like, I've had a leasing agent tell me, man, she told me that you were her locator like 10 times. I was like, good. We love that. Yeah.
I have clients will go to bat for you. Like, I'll be like, hey, I'm having issues verifying the lease. And she's like, oh my God, I'm calling them right now.
I think that, I mean, especially with DFW growing and expanding, I think it's just another way for you to secure, I mean, not only the right now business, but the future business.
Mhm.
Because you don't have to say no about anything.
And look,
You can help them anyway.
when you establish relationships with these properties, especially ones that love locators, they have events all the time. Sneak on. I'm doing one for our holiday party. Like I'm sponsoring some of the stuff, and I'm slipping like my business out there. Like they're letting me do that. And so like if you just offer to, do something for the events, bring food, bring drinks, you're expanding yourself to like hundreds of tenants. Why not shoot your shot? It's solid.
Yeah, most apartments have monthly resident events, and the ones like managers I talk to, they like struggle to come up with monthly events. So if you go in there and you're like, hey, and I work with you guys, they kind of want to like bring some food over, have a party, they'll most likely, if they like you, they'll be up for it.
You're like, great, I don't want to do it.
Well, they're also gonna refer anybody that calls them. It's like, I think I'm not moving out. It's like, hey man, anytime someone's
I've
moving
had
out,
referrals from managers.
hey,
Yeah.
we'll call this person.
Yeah. Or I've never done this. This is shake Courtney cats. Huh. So she was like the top agent at Smart City, and when I tell you she's like making like multiple six figures at Smart City, like an ungodly amount. And we found out the reason why a lot of it was being done was because she was paying the leasing agents to put her name down.
Even when she didn't send.
So like anytime someone would come
When
in,
they had no representation.
which that I mean, there's nothing that
Kristen's like, I
says
can do it.
I'm not going to, but I'm just saying that can get the leasing agent could definitely lose their job.
Yeah.
But we were just like, how is she, like she was leasing? I don't even know, like
And with the
three.
baby,
Yeah, she's got two now, but she
she
had
made friends with the leasing agents, not necessarily got clients.
yeah.
So it's probably
She
not-
was paying them, so every single time that the leasing agent put
Oh,
the
the
put
kickback.
yeah.
So it's probably not illegal, it's probably just.
It's
to
frowned
do their
upon.
job.
Yeah.
the
Well,
leasing
well,
agent
the
would.
company, the apartment company.
No,
would
they
do the
knew
one
it was going on.
No, they do.
They knew. They
It-
knew.
that's the
There
thing
was.
that
That's how
annoyed me
we
the
knew.
most,
I'm
'cause
like,
we were like, why? Because they
Why would
always
they
were
let
like,
it
be
pay
like
out?
Courtney. She's doing amazing. Look how much numbers she's putting up. Because she was like,
she was leasing
God,
like
that's
200 clients a month. Like, how is that even a thing?
it was not too many.
No.
Even at like,
And she had a personality of a wet noodle, so I know. She's
There's no
You
way.
can't-
She's-
you just
she
put
didn't
like
ever
the-
escort. She didn't.
No.
None of that. Like you didn't even see her face. She didn't come out to any events. I don't even know who she
Well,
is.
we'll try to do it the old fashioned way.
Yeah, and then when like the
We
invoicing
have to
team
stoop to
hated
that.
her because
Like,
like
they
anytime
don't
they would
have-
verify a lease, like the leasing office or the apartment complex is like, we don't have her down as the referral, and that was like the case for every time. And so the invoicing team, like at Smart City, like you have everyone do everything for you. Like you have to just lease and then they do all the back end work. And they hated her because like there was so many referral issues and she had so many that they were just like, I'm sure invoicing probably ratted her out at one point and said something like, something's going on here.
Yeah.
So as far as social media, how do you market it? I mean, do you do property tours?
I don't really like market myself as it like doing that anymore, but like every once in a while I'll say like, hey, I'm offering a rebate right now. Like that's always the easiest. You give someone $100 for using you and you're getting paid 100% on the like.
And you can do that. 'Cause
Yeah.
in our world.
Yeah.
I mean, it's done, but.
Yeah, you can just offer a rebate. Like after I get at our last place, they did it on there and they sent the check, but now I'll just Venmo them or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, great. Kristen,
Yep.
thank you so much. I'm gonna sign out of there so that I'm gonna be in your account. That's it for today, guys. Let me stop presenting this real quick. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll put this up on YouTube. Thank you, guys. See y'all later.
Bye.
Crazy. It's like
Yeah.
I
crazy
love that.
thing.
It's a lot. If you guys do come up with apartment clients, we can